Hello there, this is Math 0018, Section 3.4. Today we are looking at an introduction to fractions. So we have a couple of objectives. The first one is to write a fraction that represents parts of a whole. And then we're also going to learn how to write an improper fraction as a mixed number or a whole number, and how to change a mixed number back to an improper fraction. So let's get started. So a fraction represents the number of equal parts of a whole. So if you look at the circle to the right here, it's cut into 7 pieces, and 4 of those pieces are shaded. So what that part of that circle is represented by is 4/7. That's the fraction for that circle that's shaded. Now, whenever you're dealing with a fraction, each part has a name. The top number is called the numerator. Then you have the fraction bar, and the bottom number is called the denominator. So a lot of times you'll hear me say top and bottom instead of numerator and denominator, and that's just because I'm kind of lazy sometimes, but those are the technical names for the top and bottom numbers of a fraction. So a proper fraction is any fraction that is less than 1. The numerator is always going to be smaller than the denominator. So if we look at the circle here, we have 3. First of all, the circle is cut into 4 pieces, so that's where we get the denominator. That's the number of pieces that it's cut into. Okay? And then the numerator always represents the number that is shaded. So that we're talking about, that we're considering. So 3 of the 4 is shaded, so that circle is the shaded portion is represented by 3/4. Now, so proper fraction, make sure you realize that. Fraction less than 1, okay? A mixed number is a number greater than 1 or equal to 1, actually. It's got a whole number part and a fraction part. So, an example of a mixed number is something like 2 1/4. Now look at the example here. We have 2 circles, so anytime the whole circle is shaded in or the whole shape is shaded in, that represents one whole. We have another whole circle there, so that's another 1, so that's where they get the 2. And then the last circle is cut into 4 pieces, so that's where they get the 4 in the denominator, and one of those pieces is shaded, so that's where they get 1/4. So that mixed number for that picture there is 2 1/4. All right, an improper fraction is a fraction greater than or equal to 1. So when we're talking about an improper fraction, the numerator is always going to be greater than or equal to the denominator. A lot of people look at 4/4 and think, oh, that's not an improper fraction, but technically it is. Okay, an improper fraction starts at 1 and goes on out. So 4/4, if you were asked to say is it proper or improper, it's actually improper. Okay, but most improper fractions that you think of, the denominator is usually smaller than the numerator. The numerator is usually larger. But most those are the most common improper fractions. But if you saw something like 5/5, that is considered an improper fraction. Okay, so look at the circles here. The first 2 circles are completely shaded, so that's where we have 1 and 1, two whole circles there, plus we've got 1/4 of the last one shaded. Now, here's what we're going to do. We're not going to go right to the improper fraction right off the bat. It's going to be easier to get the mixed number from the picture first, and then we're going to change the mixed number to an improper fraction. That's how we're going to do these problems in this section today, and I'll show you how to change that. The other square here, the entire square is shaded. So you've got 4 of the 4, which is the same thing as just 1. So that can be represented either way. So it says to express the shaded portion of the circles as a mixed number and as an improper fraction. Any fully shaded part of the diagram equals one whole unit. Okay, so you've got one whole unit here, one whole circle, another whole circle, another whole circle. So we're adding those up. That's going to give us 3. Now look at the last circle. It's cut into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. So that's the bottom of your fraction. And then the top, the numerator, is going to be how many pieces are shaded, which would be 2. So we've got 3 whole circles, and you've got 2/5 of the last one. So there's your mixed number. That's the first part that they want. Now, another way that you can go back and get the improper fraction, the easiest way to do this is to take the mixed number and change it to an improper fraction. And that's something we're going to look at doing in just a minute, but let me just show you a preview of what we're going to be doing. So if you have an improper fraction, 3 2/5, the way that you change it to an improper, if you have a mixed number, to change it to an improper fraction, what you're going to do is you're going to multiply the 5 times the 3, the denominator times the whole number. 5 times 3 is 15. Then add the numerator. Okay, so that would be 2 more would be 17. So you're going to have 17 over 5. And that's the improper fraction for that picture up above. Now here's why it works. Each one of these, if this last circle is cut into 5, we're assuming that this is all those other 3 circles are cut into 5 pieces also. So you've got 5, 10, 15 pieces, 16, 17 pieces on that last 2, so you've got 17 over 5. But instead of doing all that, it's a lot easier just to change your mixed number to an improper fraction. And we're going to look at more of those problems in a minute. Alright, so it says express the shaded portion as a mixed number and as an improper fraction. Okay, so for the first 3 squares here, we've got 1 whole square, 1 whole square, 1 whole square. Okay, and on the last square, there's 4 pieces. They're all the squares are cut into 4 pieces. And on the last square, 3 of those are shaded. So we have 3 3/4. Now this one's a little bit easier to see what the improper fraction would be, because to get the improper fraction, all you have to do is count. So go back at the very beginning of the picture. Each square is cut into 4ths. So that's going to be your denominator. How many pieces each shape is cut into is your denominator. They're cut into 4ths. So if the whole first square is shaded, that's 4 shaded ones. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you go to the next one and you keep counting. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And so you have 15 over 4. And all I did was count each little square, each individual little square that was shaded. If you count all the shaded little squares, you get 15. So that's another way that you can get the improper fraction from the picture. Okay, so look at this one. Express the shaded portion as a mixed number and as an improper fraction. So the 2 rectangles here are cut into thirds. Okay, so the first rectangle is completely shaded, so that's 1 whole unit. Okay, and on the second one, 2 out of the 3 are shaded. So we have 1 2/3. That's our mixed number. Now the improper fraction, each rectangles cut into thirds, so that's our denominator. Now count how many thirds are shaded. Just count the shaded pieces. 1, 2, so like right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 5/3. So there's your mixed number and your improper fraction. The whole thing, it's not like the 5/3 goes with the second piece and the 1 2/3 goes with the first. 1 2/3 represents both of those rectangles, the whole thing together. Okay, so make sure you realize that. Okay, so here's some for you to try. Pause the video and try and write this as a mixed number and as an improper fraction. Alright, so for this problem, we've got to, let's do the mixed number first. That's pretty easy. We've got 1 whole rectangle, okay, and on the second one, both of the rectangles are cut into 5ths, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's going to be on the bottom is the 5, and in the second rectangle, 3 of those are shaded. So our mixed number is 1 3/5, okay. For the improper fraction, the denominator is still 5 because each rectangle is cut into fifths. So one thing that's always going to stay the same is the denominator between the mixed number and the improper fraction. That'll always be the same. Go back and count how many fifths are shaded. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 fifths is our improper fraction. Okay, on this one, same thing, mixed number and an improper fraction. So the first one is completely shaded, so that's our one whole unit. And on the second part, the units, the rectangles are cut into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces. And on the second part, 3 are shaded. So our mixed number is 1 3/8. Now, for the improper fraction, remember the denominator stays the same. It's cut into eighths. We go back and count how many are shaded. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So our improper fraction is 11/8. Okay, so now we're going to look at how to change a mixed number to an improper fraction without having a picture to go from. Strictly just using the rules for fractions here. So the first thing you do is you multiply the whole number by the denominator and then add that product to the numerator and write that over the original denominator. So I'll show you, it's just kind of a circular process there. Okay, so if we have 4 1/7 and we want to write it as an improper fraction, the first thing you do is going to be you're going to multiply and add. So we do 7 times 4 is 28, plus 1 would be 29/7, and that's your improper fraction. Now look at number 2. It's -2 5/8. Ignore the negative sign for now. When you're transferring it from or changing it from a mixed number to an improper fraction, you ignore the negative sign and you just stick it on your final answer. So we're going to multiply 8 times 2 is 16, plus 5 would be 21/8, and then you go back and put the negative sign there. So don't worry about the negative sign until you've got your final answer. Okay? 6 1/2. You multiply and add. 2 times 6 is 12, plus 1 would be 13/2. Notice that denominators stay the same on all of these. Okay? And number 4, once again, don't worry about the negative. You can stick it on at the end. In fact, if you want to go ahead and just write the negative there on your answer, that's fine. Multiply 9 times 8 is 72, plus 4 would be 76/9. So -76/9. All right, so try these on your own. Number 1, 6 3/4. So we're going to multiply. 4 times 6 is 24, plus 3 would be 27/4. Number 2, go ahead and put that negative sign there so you don't forget it. 9 times 4 is 36, plus 2 is 38/9. Okay? Number 3, multiply and add. 12 times 1 is 12, plus 5 would be 17/12. And number 4, go ahead and put your negative sign there. Multiply 5 times 3 is 15, plus 4 would be 19/5, -19/5. Okay, so now we're going to go the other way. We're going to change an improper fraction to a mixed number. And this is where a lot of people have problems, not because they don't know how to do the division correctly, but they don't know how to write out the mixed number. So I'm going to show you an easy way to keep it straight on how to put what goes where in the right place in the answer. The first step is to divide the numerator, remember that's the top number, by the denominator, the bottom number. Now, the quotient, that's the number at the top of your division when you get your answer. That becomes the whole number part of your mixed number. And then the remainder of your division is going to be your numerator, and the denominator is going to be the same. So I'll show you how this works. Okay, so 25/7, we're going to write that as a mixed number. So what you have to do is you have to do division. 25 divided by 7. Well, 7 will go into 25 3 times. That's 21. And when you subtract, you have 4. So you have to do the division by hand because you need to be able to see this remainder. And your calculator will not give you that 4 as a remainder. It'll give you the decimal equivalent, so it doesn't come out the same. Now, to write your answer, you start at the top with the 3. That's always going to be the whole number. The top number is the whole number, 3, and you just go in a clockwise circle and read it like a mixed number. A mixed number is a whole number and a fraction. So you have 3 and 4 sevenths, just like that. The 4 goes over the 7, and that is your mixed number. Now, if you're not sure if it's in the right order as far as writing it, check it out. If you multiply 7 times 3, that's 21, plus 4 would be 25 over 7. So you can check and make sure that you get the same improper fraction. So it always starts at the top and goes clockwise around. Just read it like a mixed number, 3 and 4 sevenths. So the top number is the whole number. The remainder is your numerator. And the divisor, what you're dividing by, is going to be the denominator. Okay, so you can keep it all straight. Let's look at number 2, negative 39 over 4. Ignore the negative sign for now and just do the division. 39 divided by 4. 4 will go into 39 9 times. That's 36. And when you subtract, you're left with 3. So we start at the top. It's going to be 9. And now we put that negative sign there. 9 and 3/4. Negative 9 and 3/4. Okay? All right, 9 3/4. Huh, Harry Potter. All right, so for those of you who know Harry Potter stuff, the rest of you, watch the movie. What the heck? Okay? All right, 13 and 13 over 5. So we're going to divide here. 13 divided by 5. Let's see, 5 will go into 13 2 times. That's 10, and that leaves 3. So start at the top and work your way around. That would be 2 and 3/5. Okay? All right, and the next one, negative 43 over 18, we're going to divide 43 divided by 18. And I think that goes twice. Let's see, that's 36. Yep, when we subtract there, we're left with 7. So our mixed number, just remember to bring that negative sign down because, boy, without that, if you're doing that in your online homework or quizzes, they will mark you wrong in a heartbeat. So it'd be 2, the top number, and 7/18. So there's your mixed number there. Okay, so try these on your own. Write each one as a mixed number, and if you need to, simplify the fraction. Okay, but I don't think we have any that we can do that on. Okay, number 1. 16 over 7. So we're going to divide. 16 divided by 7. 7 goes into 16 2 times. That's 14. So that leaves 2. So we have, would be 2 and 2/7. And just remember, you can always go back and check it. Make sure it gives you back the correct improper fraction. All right, negative 45 over 8. So I'm going to divide 45 divided by 8. And let's see, 8 will go into that 5 times. That's 40. And we're left with 5. So our mixed number, I'm going to start, don't forget the negative, 5 with the top number at the quotient part, and 5/8. Okay? Number 3, 11 over 2. So you divide 11 divided by 2. 2 goes into 11 5 times. That's 10, and that leaves 1. So we start at the top, 5, and work your way around, and 1/2. 5 and 1/2. Okay? And negative 84 over 9. So I'm going to go ahead and put my negative sign there so I don't forget. 84 divided by 9. 9 will go into that 9 times. That's 81. And that leaves 3. Now, this one's kind of tricky. you get 9 3/9. Now, one thing they haven't really gotten to yet is how to simplify a fraction. But if you think about this, look at the 3 and the 9 in that fraction. They have a common factor of 3, and we have talked about common factors. So what you have to do is you're going to divide the top and the bottom by the same factor, by that common factor of 3, and you'll keep the whole number the same, -9, and it would be 1/3. And that would be your final answer there. So just make sure if you can reduce the fraction part of your mixed number that you go ahead and do that. All right, and that is it for this section. Good luck with the homework.